Welcome to the day 3 of our financial tips on how to live a financially stress-free life. I still remain your host, Mr. Anole Fuchiso, aka Mr. Investment. So we are through with the introductory stage. So now we are going to be going straight to the financial growth phase, where we are going to be looking at what is financial growth, what really is financial growth, what are the measures of financial growth, what are the ways or what are the hindrances to financial growth. We will be covering how can one grow financially. So let's get to the business of the day. What is financial growth? Well, I'm not going to bore you with the big grammars. Financial growth simply means having an increase in your income source, in your finances, thereby becoming more financially stable. There are different aspects of financial growth. We can talk about the personal finance, we can talk about the economic finance, we can talk about the business finance and all that. But for the purpose of this training, we're going to be looking at basically personal finance. And in that personal finance, I want us to look at financial growth beyond just having money, beyond just having an increase in your source of income and all that. I want us to look at financial growth as encompassing both how we manage our money, how we manage our finances, how we manage our income sources, how we manage our spending, how we manage our investment, because all these are things that is going to play a pivotal role in the journey of financial growth. How then can we know if we are actually growing financially or not? Most persons tend to confuse or limit financial goals to just maybe acquiring new I call them liabilities, acquiring new liabilities, buying flashy cars, buying jewelries, acquiring luxury and all that. They tend to limit financial growth or confuse financial growth to be that. And most persons in the other angle look at financial growth as to just having an increase in their pay, in their salary, having an increase in their business income, having an increase or generally an increased income. Well, that could be financial growth. That could be financial growth, but I don't want us to limit that to the measures of financial growth. Measures of financial growth, we can truly measure if we are growing financially by determining our savings rate. Number one, determining our savings rate. Because how much you earn or how much income you have is what determines your savings rate. So if your savings rate is not increasing, automatically it means you are not growing financially. If you are earning money and as you are earning it, you are spending them on buying new houses, residential houses, buying private jets and all that. In the long run, it could mean that you are not growing financially. So your savings rate is one of the measures or ways to determine if you are actually growing financially or not. Another way you can equally measure your financial growth is by your investment ratio. That's your return on investment ratio or your investment ratio. Am I actually investing? What's my return on investment? Is my return on investment increasing or not? Because let's say, for example, you were actually, let's say, earning 200,000 naira income on a monthly basis, and then you had an investment that was giving you probably, let's say, 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira monthly, and your income source, and now your income increases from 200,000 naira to 300,000 naira, and your investment ratio or your return on investment ratio does not increase directly, or the increase in your income is not directly proportional to the increase in your investment ratio, automatically it means you are not growing financially. You might look at it as though you are growing financially, but you are not growing financially. So your financial growth should equally tally with your investment ratio, with the growth of your return on investment. So another way we can actually measure our financial way, I think that should be the number 3, right? Is our debt ratio. How is your debt doing? Let me make this clear. Having debt is not actually does not mean you are not growing financially or you don't have money. Most persons are afraid of debt. They are afraid of loans and all that. But being in debt or being in loan is not actually a bad thing, especially when that loan is being used for that debt, or the money that incurred that debt is being used for investment or business purposes. That is being used on something that yields money. If you look at the debt ratio statistics of the world, you will even discover that the rich people, the elites, people like if that go on a lighter note, if that should tell you how much debt he's owing currently, you will be shocked. So, but what am I trying to say in essence? Your debt ratio is one of the measures to actually know if you are growing financially. Because let's say, for example, you took a loan from a bank to do business or to have an investment, and at the end of the day, your income from that investment or your income as your income is increasing, that debt you have is not reducing correspondingly. It means that you are not growing financially. But in a situation whereby as your income source, as your return on investment is growing, your debt ratio is equally reducing, it means that you are growing financially. Another way we can actually measure our financial growth is what I call the emergency fund ratio. Like I used to say, or I used to talk about in my cooperative. I run a cooperative. That's Dial and Trust multi-purpose cooperative in short, Dial and Trust MPCS. Like I always say, our slogan is to be a rugged saver. And by that, it simply means you save for everything. You make savings for every aspect of your life. So when I talk about the emergency fund ratio, I equally talk about part of your savings that is separated for emergency situations. So if that very particular, because that's the fund that you use to take care of emergency situations, like maybe health emergencies, your car broke down, your children fell sick, there is a fire outbreak, and it affects your home or it affects your businesses and all that. Those are the funds you access to take care of those needs. So if your emergency fund is not equally increasing, it means you are not growing financially. Even when you feel maybe you are earning more money. Let's say you were earning 500,000 naira before, and now you are earning 1 million naira. Automatically, to ascertain if you are really growing financially, it means that your emergency fund should equally be increasing. Like I used to tell my rugged savers, if as one who wants to become financially free, you need to be conscious of record keeping. Like you need to be able to account for every 1 naira that comes into your hand and goes out of your hand. Like for example, now what I do, what I do personally, I have a percentage of dividing my income, the way I divide my income. Let's say, for example, now, of course, you guys expect me to tell you how much I earn on a monthly basis or how much income I receive on a monthly basis, but I will just use an imaginary figure. So let's say, for example, I earn 200,000 naira on a monthly basis. Automatically, I have a percentage. I should have a percentage of how I allocate this money for different purposes. For example, now your purposes could include maybe business and investment purposes. That's number one. Meaning you should have a savings. You should have you should have a way of setting aside money for these different purposes. It could be number one, business and investment purposes. You could have a savings for your feeding. That's feeding expenditure. You should have a savings for your housing expenditure. You should have a savings for let's say your clothing expenditure. You should have a savings for your emergency situations. You should have a savings for probably your housing expenditure and all that. So as that 200,000 naira is coming into your hand, it means you already have a percentage. Of course, the business and investment savings should have a higher percentage of your savings. Let's say, for example, you could do 40% for your business and investment savings. What this thing simply means is that any money that goes into this very particular savings cannot be used for a health emergency situation. It cannot be used for house rent or housing expenditure. It cannot be used for food or feeding expenditure. It is specifically going to be used for that business savings. Then let's say you have 20% of your income going into your housing expenditure. You have 20% again going into your feeding expenditure. Of course, that's how you divide out your income amongst all these savings plans or savings reasons that you have. Of course, before you will be able to ascertain the percentage of money you spend, you allocate to a particular savings. You should be able to sit down and analyze your spending. Of course, if you followed in our volume 2, where we talked about different kinds of savings that one should do. I think there I was able to do justice to how we can be able to analyze these savings. Because you need to sit down, calculate how much you earn and how much you spend. Of course, even then I talked about most persons, you see someone earning 200,000 naira and the person is living in a house where he pays 450,000 naira per year. Of course, our housing expenditure should not be more than our 2 months or 3 months income. It means if your 2 or 3 months income should not be able to take care of your housing expenditure, as for those that have not maybe built their own houses or whatsoever. If your 2 or 3 months housing income should not be able to take care of your housing need, it means you need to relocate. You need to relocate, and you need to like they say, you need to cut your coat according to your material. That's by the way, because it looks as if I'm digressing, but I'm just trying to make a point or make things clear. So let's get back to what we're talking about, the number 4, which is the emergency fund ratio. That's another way you can actually know if you are actually growing financially or you are not growing financially. So the 5th way we can actually measure our financial growth is our portfolio ratio. Portfolio ratio, I mean when you look at all your investments, your assets and all that, if they are not growing alongside your income growth, it truly means that you are not growing financially. How you know one who is growing financially is by the level of assets they have. It's by the level of investments they have. They buy shares in different companies, they buy stock, they have investments all over. So if all those things are not happening to you, if when you were earning 200,000 naira, the only investment you have is the only asset you have is maybe you built a commercial house that you are renting, or maybe you bought a shares with a particular company. That's the only investment you have, and your income source increases to 300,000 naira, and there is no reflective increase in your portfolio. It simply means you are not growing financially. So for you to know if you are actually growing financially, it means that all these 5 points we have listed, or I have listed, it means that those 5 aspects is equally growing. So, and by understanding this, it will help us not to confuse increase in money or just our income growth with financial growth. So that's why I said we should look at financial growth beyond just having money or having an increased source of income. There is more to financial growth, and all these are what is going to be leading us towards our discussion when we get to business growth, when we get to portfolio diversifications, how we can diversify our portfolios and different options for portfolio diversification, or how we can expand our businesses and all that. When we get there, by the understanding we have at this stage will help us to assimilate whatever we're going to be discussing on that very particular phase. So this is where I will be stopping for the day. It's already late and I'm still at the office because of this very particular people. I was trying to conclude this before I get home, because once I get home that's work is over and I have to, it's family time, but still as a man now you have to plan yourself well. You don't combine you combine works with family time, you know. So this is where I will be stopping for today. See you tomorrow, the day 4, as we continue on financial growth. By tomorrow, we'll be looking at how one can grow financially. We'll be looking at what are the hindrances to financial growth. See you tomorrow, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video as you are watching it. Don't be stingy. Don't be stingy. Just share the updates. You know. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.